Here we go. We are live. It is 3:11 Central Standard Time in the United States, 9:11 GMT in the UK, and where Barry's at, I don't know what time it is. I think it's on the East Coast.
It's 4. Yeah, so 4 East.
4 o'clock, 4:11 Eastern Standard Time in the United States. This is the Nomad Tech Project with Sam and Joe.
Hey.
Coming to you live this 19th day of January 2025. I think this is
19 days in. Wow.
I know, dude. Well, it's okay because like 2024 was like a blur, which is hilarious because that's one of those things that if you say that to somebody, nobody ever like goes, no, dude, this is, like you say, man, 2024 went like this, right? It was like a quick year. Mm-hmm. Have you ever had anybody go, no, not really. It's actually been really slow.
No, yeah.
Everybody goes, dude, yeah, it was like, just like poof, right? Even kids.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Yeah. So, yeah. And Barry's joining us. If you notice, you're watching from the show. He tried to go to his parents' house. Apparently, he's having some issues with Wi-Fi and getting it set up. And so he's just out in his sled.
I'm in the car.
Yep. And it looks good. Sounds good. Hell, he sounds better and looks better in his car than me and Joe look. And we have like actual sort of equipment. Yeah, that's how Barry.
I don't know. This is just the S24 Ultra.
Right. And this is just
S24 Ultra is great.
That's a great phone. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
So we're glad you can join us, and I know it's been a while since we had you on. It's been almost
yeah.
So I know you're busy guy, and we appreciate you. Actually, our first guest of 2025. So
that'll work.
Coming on, and since let's just go ahead and get it out of the way. Apparently, folks, if you try to log onto your TikTok, you got a sorry page, and as a person who works in IT. Kind of nice to have apparently they have a sorry page or a sorry server. That's kind of nice. I thought they would just basically do anything, but so like most apps, when you go offline, or if you're like failing over, or if their systems are down or whatever, they'll give you a sorry page. Like a sorry server actually kicks in.
Yeah.
Like traffic to a sorry server or sorry page. The fact that TikTok actually is leveraging a sorry page is kind of funny. I
prefer the oops pages. When it says oops, something went wrong.
Oops. Yeah, no. But it's funny. Oh, it's back. Oh, it came back on. Okay,
it's back. It's back. Yeah, so it was funny too because Savage dropped 2 videos about using a VPN, and he showed how to bypass the ban, and then it was almost like they were like, "Hey, we're just going to send it back, man. You're telling people how to work around."
So anyway, so that was kind of cool. So, and this is for Josh. I have water. I have got my, okay. Cause he always gets a little weird because sometimes it doesn't look like I'm hydrating, but I've got the H2O, so I'm good to go. So yeah, so it was funny cause last night, I was working at the club and Becky went to her parents, and I guess they had been working throughout the day. She checks it a lot because she's a user. So we were driving home. It was like probably 10:30 Central Time. And I'm driving home and we're in the car and she goes, oh. And she turns around and shows me and says, sorry. I was like, oh, well, tough shit. I went to my phone. I went, I don't care. I just deleted the app. And I was like, I don't give a shit.
Barry, do you use TikTok?
So you're talking to Sam?
No. Do you use TikTok, Barry?
No, I don't use TikTok. It was hard enough to keep up just with YouTube. So no. How about you, Joe?
No. Well, I made one, but I don't use it.
Yeah, I didn't even make one. So
do you know what? I mostly use it because my missus sends me things on there every now and again. And it's just easier if you've got an account to click on it and it goes straight in the app.
Yeah, and that's why I created an account, because the girls were sending me stuff that what they thought was funny, which, fun fact, not funny. Actually, and my wife was sending me like DIY stuff and then recipe stuff and all those kind. And so I was like,
okay, so you've actually okay.
I've used it. Like I said, I've never created a video. I've literally, if there could be negative intention to create a video, I would be that guy. I have like zero intention of creating any videos. And so that's what I used it for. Because when you clicked on the link, it was like Facebook. That's what drives me nuts about not having Facebook. If somebody sends me something that may be Facebook Marketplace, or if I'm trying to look up somebody, like I was like, we had to shovel the driveway. So I was looking up one of the guys that had a service that did it. It was on Facebook. I tried to just go to Facebook and I could not even see the page. It's like, you have to have a Facebook account. I was like, I just want to see the page. I'm not going to message this gentleman. I'm not going to reach out on, I just want to see a contact info so I can call this guy on the phone. And Facebook set it up where you have to have an account even to look at a page if it's sent to you in a web link.
Sam, next time send me the...
Send you the link, and he died. Joe died.
Oh, yeah. At first I thought it was me because I'm
Joe died. So, I'll send Joe the link. I had my wife do it. She has an account, so she would just go and whatever. So it's just a hassle.
Correct. So I would look at certain links, like, you know, for a while, some YouTubers started going, like Easy and a couple others would go live on TikTok because they're trying to build their following over there. So I never even got an account so I could watch the whole live stream. I just like, oh, I'm gonna watch for like 30 minutes till they kick me off, you know.
Right. And again, yeah, I agree. So much for that S24 Ultra being great. Yeah.
Oh, I know. Grounded Tech.
Oh, God, love it. Anyway, so so it's all good. So we oh, he just died. He's actually dropped off dead.
He's probably gonna
That's cool. So anyway, so since oh, there all right. So much for that S24 Ultra being pretty good. That was awesome.
Well, no, it's my internet, isn't it? That was weird. It just dropped out. No explanation at all.
So so what Becky does is I will send her the link. I'll message it to her, and she'll open it up and then take a screenshot, whatever, and then she sends it back.
Yeah,
which is fine. It's just a hassle. So that's really why I had TikTok. And you know, to me, it just seemed like another, you know, Instagram stories or Facebook reel or whatever. You know, it was kind of fun to doom scroll and that kind of stuff, and I did it too. But I honestly went to it to like look for car stuff. That was kind of what well, it's funny because what was weird about Becky and I's account was, and this is how the algorithm works. So if the girls and Becky would send me a video to watch, and I clicked on the video to watch, it for some reason the algorithm seemed to think that was what I wanted to watch. So it was weird because like Becky would see videos that I happen to see, would feed her the same algorithm. Because I get it. I never went on there looking for my own stuff. It was just stuff they sent me. I'm like, oh, while I'm here, I'm like, look up stuff, you know. And it was funny. So a lot of our algorithm kind of aligned. So
it's kind of aligned.
Video, and then 3 days later, she goes, "Hey, did you see this?" I go, "Yeah, it was on my For You page like 3 days ago." It was weird how the algorithm
works like that. Okay.
Yeah, it kind of melded into. So if you have a lot of people sending you videos and you click on those,
it'll go right into your algorithm.
Which is funny because which is weird because somebody sends you something, it may not be something you want to watch. It might be interesting.
Exactly. It shouldn't. Yeah.
I don't know why TikTok doesn't recognize in the algorithm that, okay, if you click on it, but you don't like it, or if your watch time happens to be less than 5 seconds, it should kind of like say,
it should just say,
that user clearly didn't. Right. It didn't. It just said, oh, you sent it, you watched it, even if you didn't like it. Oh, you must want, you know, DIY pub food videos.
Here's loads more.
Yeah. Which is funny because I do. The pub food is good. So what has been going on with your channel and you going on? I know you've been busy.
I can explain. Yeah, I can explain. So for the last couple of years, and I kind of spoke to Jermaine about this. For the last couple of years, I haven't really been as active, and I have been very busy at work, you know. But I could have still kind of made it a point to be more active. But I recently switched up my channel because I'd known that that's what I really wanted to do. I love phones. I love nerding out about phones. I love the weird conversations you can get. I don't really love outsiders. I kind of call them even though they're the majority of the tech community or phone tech community, that it's always Samsung or Apple has to win. I don't really enjoy that conversation. To me, that's a very boring conversation. A lot of those people that participate, they're only waiting for Samsung to release, or they're only waiting for Apple to release, right?
Right. Yeah, Unpacked and WWDC.
Exactly. But like, to give you an example, Jermaine could hit me up in the past and like, hey, I want to do a collaboration video, and I'm looking at his B-roll, right? I remember talking to Eric about, I think it was a Pixel 7 video that Ben Lover of Tech had dropped, and he had used multiple angles, and that's all I could talk about. Not even the phone. It was just like, man, did you see this? You know? So I really started, as I started doing content creation, my passion for making videos was really about videography, taking photos. So I recently switched my channel, dropped my first video on it where I'm just a pure camera channel. So, so right now I'm shooting with Lumix cameras. You know, I might introduce some other cameras or whatever. But I still love the phone conversation. Like, I'll be in live streams. I want to talk phones. It was a way for me to break away from, be more with my passion, but also break away from a lot of the lame commentary that's like, oh, well, you just know the Samsung is always going to be the best, or Apple's always going to be the best. It's like, dude, that's a boring conversation. You know, it's like, you can be the best phone and still there could be cool things about these other things. You know, these other phones. There could be cool experiences, right? So
right.
Yeah.
Well, which is interesting because we had Scoop on the channel. Yeah. So it was really, and I find
I watched the whole thing. I caught the replay. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so good. I'm like, because
thanks,
I'm kind of not a person doesn't know much about like the technical aspects and all those kind of things. So I'm kind of like a novice.
Yeah.
With really not an interest in being really great. Maybe just taking some photos and like it's not my jam. And I'm curious why. So you went to the camera situation as opposed to maybe other aspects of tech, like maybe like coding or engineering or development or architecture or cloud, any of those kind of things. And I'm curious. Obviously,
so I'll tell you why. Yeah. So like to give you an example, I make videos all the time for my customers, and it could be coding, it could be engineering or what have you. I just had a meeting with my boss Friday, and she was like, hey, I need every quarter minimum 3 videos related to some technology, whether it's 5G related, stuff that we sell and support. So it's more work. Like it was like it's just more work, and cameras were it's like a creative outlet.
Right.
I noticed that when I was making videos, I was having more fun putting the video together than going, hey, I wonder if the Snapdragon Elite overheats when you do this particular process, right? It was more like, man, did you see that? Oh, wait a second, hold on, I set this up like that. So it's more like a hobby.
Right. And that makes sense instead of like, well, and I guess that's the rub, right? So because you're in that space, you would be an authority, a SME, right? As we would know it, right?
Correct.
You would know a subject matter expert, but because you are, and it's part of your work, it just becomes an extension of your work.
It's this extension work.
Passion to create, just like, dude, it just feels like I'm just moving right from my office right to here, and it's valuable conversation, and I am definitely up on it. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense because I know a lot of people kind of they pivot into maybe like computers or laptops or or something like that. And I've noticed a lot of folks are kind of eschewing, like Joe's been doing more camera stuff. And I know I'm in this Telegram channel, which I feel bad because I never really participate. Every once in a while I'll say something.
But they take pictures and stuff like that.
Oh, dude, there's like 400 chats, and it had to be 2 days. And they're sharing pictures, and it's Manos and Mac and all them. And I look at the pictures they're taking. I'm like, there's no way in hell I could take any of these shots.
Oh,
I
know.
Amazing. Yeah. I'm just like, dude. So I'm just like, I don't know what I'm just a basic bitch is what I basically am.
No, but I know it's funny too because like I remember there's a couple times because I've known Scoop for a long time, right? So there's a couple times when I was doing stuff and I was like, hey, I want to use this, this clip from either your video. This is like when I first started or what have you. And I noticed I put some stuff together and I'm like, man, that actually looked pretty good. And I did that, I'm showing Scoop, I showed his stuff, and then it didn't look like it went to from 100% to 0%, it looked like it was like 150. So it didn't look like, what the heck, did someone just turn on Sesame Street here? Like, so
it flowed.
I remember that was like the kind of the first thing. And one of the things that, and I've talked to several people about this, I had gone on vacation with my son. So we have this bridge called the Skyway Bridge. It's extremely scary. It's always been scary, even when they rebuilt it, It's a scary bridge, but it's beautiful, and it's not scary if you're going underneath it on a cruise ship. And I remember, filming it and not really knowing what I was supposed to do from composition because I knew how to compose photos at a novice level, right? But I wasn't really doing videography. And then I was like, man, this clicked, and I could see in the viewfinder, I'm like, man, this looks good. And then when I went under the bridge and I got like, it's one of my favorite clips of all time. And I remember that was like, I was like, you really are denying what you really are passionate about. And I came out with my Xiaomi 13 Ultra review. I remember Ike commenting, goes, oh my God, that bridge shot, and I'm comparing photos and all that stuff. And all I could think about, like, he doesn't know this, but all I could think about the whole time, I had this whole video where people were saying, hey, could you compare can you get the review out? Cause I want to see comparisons. All I'm thinking about is the cinematography in it, in the whole video. you know.
So is this the Skyway Bridge that's in, I guess, Tampa Bay? Is that
Tampa? Yeah, like
okay.
it connects Tampa and St. Pete. St. Pete and south of that.
Yeah,
like
I was just curious. While you were talking, I just kind of Googled it because I'm like, I've never heard of the Skyway Bridge. I'm like,
Yeah.
And I look at it, I'm going, I see the old.
So just to give you an example,
metal trust one. I'm like,
so there are customers that I visit all the time, and I call ahead because they're coming from the south. And so they're not in Tampa, they're south, like past St. Petersburg. And I always call ahead because if I can't get a hold of them, I want to call the office and get the receptionist, because I'm like, hey, are they taking the long way, or are they taking because the Skyway closes, because if it gets to certain, and we don't get very windy in Florida,
right?
But if there's a certain amount of wind, and this happens frequently, where they're like, hey, you can't get on the bridge,
right? Yeah,
and usually it's a type of bridge that if you're not used to bridges,
it looks sketchy.
So, like, to give you an example, so if you
in St. Louis,
so like if you've ever been on the Golden Gate and you're like, oh, this is no big deal, and that's the only type of bridge you've been on,
right?
Most of the people that see the Skyway, when they start getting towards it, they're like, oh my God, I cannot turn around. That's usually the thought process.
Right.
There's committed. No place I can turn. Like, you're committed. How am I going to make this through? That's how it is.
And I look at the there's like a map of what it is, and it looks like a pretty good between St. Petersburg. It's kind of like it kicks out. There's like a bay, Tampa Bay, obviously, and you can kind of see it's like it looks like you're going to be you're committed. It's like the Lake Pontchartrain, the bridge over Lake Pontchartrain. Yeah. You're there. It's like, hey, no kickoff. There's no exit ramp. You're in a lake. So, I mean, unless you want to drive off into the water, you're good.
You're done. Yeah.
So other than that, you're kind of like, and it looks like, I remember driving to New Orleans. I'm like, man, this feels like a 10, 15 mile.
Bridge. Yeah, absolutely.
It's nuts. I'm like, what happens if you, but I'm thinking, what if you have like an emergency? Like, how are you going to, if you're in the middle of the bridge and let's say your car stalls and there's not much shoulder, or if you're having a medical emergency, they have to still, I mean, I guess they could airlift to the bridge. And
correct.
Dude, bridges are, like I said,
so there's a bridge that's near, so where I'm at, there's a bridge. It's probably about, to get there, it probably would take me 15 minutes. It's called the Buttman Bridge in Jacksonville. It doesn't look scary. It has those low barriers. I kind of, the barriers that are like 3 feet tall, whatever.
Right.
And most of the time, if you run into those, they're pretty solid. I'm not sure what the combination is between the Buttman and those. They get knocked around a lot, and people die every year going over. Like, multiple people die, and the city of Jacksonville has said, hey, based on the amount of deaths and the cost of, we're just going to keep it like this, so it's like, use it at your own risk.
What I'm sharing, that's the closest thing we have. It's called it's the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge.
Okay.
But everybody here in St. Louis just calls it the Stan Span. So this is one of
mouthful, Sam.
7. Yeah, we call it the Stan Span. We don't care.
Yeah.
So it's named after a baseball player because St. Louis, right? Anyway, so but this is like one of the most. This is the newest bridge, but there's like literally these bridges, and then the funny thing is, if you go back and you go to Eads, this is what the old. When I see that the old version of that bridge, this is kind of what it reminds me of. Look at this shit. This bridge is going from St. Louis to over to into Illinois. This is how far it is.
Sam, let's see the one Barry's talking about.
Yeah.
Put that one on. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So that's the Eads Bridge. This one I've crossed all the time. It's still there. And there's a train right here. There's a train underneath. So let's go to Skyway.
Yeah.
Let's see it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's cool looking. Oh wait. Sunshine Skyway. There we go. So it looks like that. Now that's cool.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It's got the same. Again, it's got the same.
It's got the same thing.
Span. Right.
So with this, this current iteration was done because it used to be low. Like it's still long, took forever to go. Like, you're on there for a long time. So this is just like one section. This section that they're showing is the most popular section because it's designed so cruise ships can fit under without having a drawbridge.
Too much gap is there. I mean, that's pretty high. But that means when you're coming up this, you're coming up blind because you can't see the roadway.
Correct.
Is it divided with like a positive barrier? Is it like a barrier, or is it just wide open?
it's kind of wide open. Yeah.
Oh boy, yikes almighty.
Yeah.
Looks cool though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's cool. So when I saw that bridge, the first thing I thought was that looks like the stand span. It has that same kind of architectural design, but of course, we're only going across the Mississippi, which is, I don't know, maybe 1,500 yards, maybe 2,000 yards. It's not too far, as opposed to like going across a whole bay, which is like 10 miles. Yeah,
correct.
So cool. Yeah, I like the older bridge designs, and dude, when you go across the Eads, that thing's scary as hell. It's solid as hell. That thing's
no, I agree.
They built the Eads Bridge. I think that original Eads Bridge, I think, was built like. Hold on a minute, I gotta figure out that.
Are you gonna rename your channel?
I haven't decided yet. I'm gonna keep. A lot of the people from the like camera channels were waiting for me to change. Like they knew that they've been watching me for a while, and they're like, dude, he's not gonna be doing phones for much longer, and they're like, dude, how did you go 2 more years? Like we thought you were gonna be switched over. So I'll see how it works, as I'm going through. So my name is Barry Johnson, right? But I still have the engineer react, so I got to figure it out.
And just so remember that sketchy ass bridge I showed you, the Eads Bridge. That bridge Barry was built in 1874.
Wow.
It's still there. That's still the bridge. Wow. It looks just like that. Yeah, it's pretty scary. Anyway, enough about bridges in St. Louis. And so in your channel, so that's kind of cool. So I guess we have, obviously we're into the OnePlus 13, the 13R.
Yes.
Getting great reviews. People are still kind of dumping on the camera, but I don't think it is. I think that's just OnePlus phones are kind of sketch cameras, but I've heard the 12 and the 13
they're good. Really, I think the 12 is good, the open is good. There is with the 13, there is currently on a couple of the cameras, a couple of the sensors, there is some over sharpening that's happening.
That's what I've seen.
And then there's this one I can replicate it. I think it's on the 3X. You can get like almost like a halo effect around some like LED light thing that they're gonna fix. But it's a really good camera. Like these are all software things. Like it's not like this is physical hardware. So and also the minimum that part they can't fix, the minimum focus distance.
But apparently the Chinese variants had 7 updates and the globals only had 1.
Yeah, I don't know why they kind of reset it. The reason, so like to give you an example, one of my buddies, Hans Tech Talk, he has a huge YouTube channel in China. Like we talk all the time. And he's had the OnePlus forever. And so I can see when they go through the updates and all that stuff. So I know what's coming. I don't know why they reset it for the global market. I don't know if it's like, we want to give them something to look forward to. It's like, dude, you're sending it over here, and people are going to look for any reason to basically discount you. But the 13 is a solid pickup. Like I give it a high recommendation. Now, would I recommend it to Joe, Jermaine, or Dan? Because they're photo bias, I would recommend something else. But as far as like the phone, it's awesome.
Well, and I guess that's been the only knock against OnePlus in the last probably 3 or 4 iterations, right? It's the camera job. Nobody else.
And I'm gonna tell you, and let me just qualify this. Like these are just like updates that will happen. Like they're already proven. Like I've seen them go toe to toe against every phone over in China, right? With the latest updates. I'm just saying that Joe, Jermaine, and Grounded Tech would rather have a Vivo X200 Pro than this for like, it's a solid camera system. I think once they get all these fixes done, I think people are going to be happy with them.
I was going to ask about that, kind of on an addendum to that question. Is like, I remember, I know, and Jermaine could probably answer this too, but like Xiaomi, I thought for a while they were really kind of crushing cameras, and then it's kind of like, I don't know if they've stopped making. Like, I don't hear nothing about.
No, so this is the thing. Xiaomi still does like some of my favorite shots over the years are Xiaomi. Like in this video when I was announcing that I'm going to do phones, to do cameras, I actually showed shots from Xiaomi.
Okay.
And this was from the 13 Ultra. I actually use those as my examples. I think what it is Xiaomi is a worthy competitor. Vivo is laser focused on being the number one camera brand. When it comes to, let's take Sony out, like forget Sony. Sony's got a different thing that they're trying to do. But when it comes to everybody else, I think they're just really laser focused on that. And that's not to take away from any other brand, right? So,
right. And Jermaine says, yeah, Xiaomi does well with camera, but the battery life is poor. Shot wise, it's still my favorite. Yeah, I remember like when all these phones are coming out, like all the phones, right? The Xiaomis and the Vivos and the Oppos and the Realmes and all of a sudden I kind of noticed over like the last maybe year or so, I don't really hear so much about.
Oh yeah. So if there's a side by side, if there's a side by side comparison, typically Vivo always wins.
Right.
However, like it's probably, like, to give you an example, even with my Xiaomi 13 Ultra, if I go on vacation, so if like my son's like, well, I'm saying my son is literally constantly sending me vacations to go on, right? So I've got to decide where we're going to go for spring break. So if I'm not taking a real camera, I'll probably end up taking a Xiaomi. Really? And that's not to put any other brand, but it's like when I go on vacation and like maybe if I went to a colder climate, it'd be different. But like when I go to like the hotter climates and the colors and all that stuff, and I know we can go and nitpick on who's more accurate, it just seems like every time I take a shot with the Xiaomi, it's something that, oh yeah, I remember that color, or this is jumping out of the page to me. Whereas the other ones they're good shots, but it's nothing like the Xiaomi.
I was going to say, Jermaine's confirmed it there as well. Like what I've heard is that Xiaomi is closer to what a camera output would be like.
Yes. Yeah. Like I said, I've so like to give you an example, like, so I think Scoot explains it really well. Good photographers like a Scoot, like Jermaine, right? Or great, I shouldn't say good, great photographers like a Scoop or Jermaine, they have the ability to stop time. And typically you would want them to use a real camera when they do it. And there are so many times where I'm just walking around and I'm like, oh man, look at the framing here. And I snap a picture and I make sure that I don't have people coming in because they might not want to be in the shot. But it's like, hey, if there's a kid coming through or like a teenager, and they stop in the middle, like, and they're facing the opposite direction, you can't tell who they are, I'll take a picture and it's just like, dude, I could freaking put this in a magazine. And it's a Xiaomi 13 Ultra. Yeah.
Right.
So
it's also maybe preference, because like I said, when it comes to standalone cameras, right, you have Canon and Nikon and Sony. And
so people, it can be preference, right? It can't be preference, but like, like let's say for instance with these people, right? Like a Jermaine or a Scoop, like someone that's really into it, they're going to color grade, so they could probably make any camera look the same.
I was going to say
this, to photos, right?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And the thing about the Xiaomi, Sam, is like you could do that, right? But it's like you don't need to. Like it's a weird. I know, like.
So for folks like
it'd be nice to. So like yeah, like I really like you probably wouldn't. Yeah, I really think you will if you take a shot with a Xiaomi. You're not going to go, oh man, I need to send this to Joe to color grade it, or I need to go home and just work on. Like, I think you're going to be satisfied, and you're going to be going like, man, this looks really good.
I told you, like when I went to Puerto Rico years ago, I had the Mi 11. That was the Xiaomi. That was
the Mi 11.
And I just took pictures with it, and I was like,
yeah,
these are great. Again, I'm not exactly the most, obviously. I'm not the most obvious, camera person.
Yeah, so like for me,
grading, are we talking about posting that? Is that post where you would change the color?
Oh yeah, and so like So like you would, so you might take the picture in RAW and then you would color grade it or from there. But
gotcha.
So with Xiaomi, there's just post. Like I'm just capturing post, send it to people. I'm happy.
So it reminds me of Barry, like in the camera world, the Fuji fans.
Correct. It's sort of Xiaomi, and it's funny because right now there's no pressure, right? like I said, I can talk about phones all the time. A lot of my customers, even some of my customers that are my friends, right? One guy called me a couple of weeks ago and he was like, "Hey, you love the Pixel 9." He's a big Pixel guy. He goes, "You love the Pixel 9 Pro XL, right?" I go, "Yeah, best Pixel ever. Thank you." And hangs up, calls me back. "Yeah, I just ordered it." Right. So I can talk about that kind of stuff all the time, but
yeah,
I'm so glad that the pressure is off, that I don't have to do it on my main channel. I can just cover cameras, because I know from a YouTube perspective, you have to be buying the Vivos, right? You have to be buying the Vivos because they're going to, everybody knows that they're going to rank probably the highest, right?
yeah.
But I wanted to get the Xiaomi. You see what I'm saying? So like, I want, like, for me personal, just to go walk around, take on vacation, I would like a Xiaomi. So like now it's like, I'll just pick up whatever Xiaomi, comes out with the Ultra, unless they say, "Hey, we're not competing anymore." Right. So
Joe, I've got to the stage where the cameras are less important to me now because I've got my S5 too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I just want to enjoy phones for phones as well. I'm actually really enjoying this 200 Pro by Honor, and the camera's not amazing, but it's not a bad little device.
Yeah.
So I want to try different things out.
I want to find in the shot. I took this in Puerto Rico, and this is again with an E11. That's the picture I was able to take of an iguana just kind of hanging out on the rock.
Yeah, it looks nice, man.
Yes. Come on.
And look, and I didn't do anything to the shot. I just was like, he was right there. I got kind of
really
close
nice as well.
Yeah, you can tell clearly this is a photo taken by me, and this is 5 years ago.
No,
I got down, I just put it right on the rock wall so I could stabilize it, and I just went boop, and I touched nothing. Yeah. I let the shot just take itself, and that was the shot I got. And then you can see, I mean, he's just hanging on a rock wall, and I took so many great pictures in Puerto Rico with that camera. It's kind of criminal that I and that's what, a 3-year-old, 4-year-old. It wasn't the Mi Pro. It was the regular Mi 11 with the Eco back. I just happened to take it with me because I was using it at the time. And I really missed that phone. I really thought it was great. So
yeah.
No. So
that I agree. I totally agree. Cool. Yeah, it's like I said, I know, like, Oppo and Xiaomi. I mean, Oppo and Vivo are outstanding devices, but the output of Xiaomi, I just usually end up liking their shots more.
Yeah, and that was actually playing around with like tagging it, but that was from my hotel room into it was just like I literally walked outside, I just aimed the shot, trying to make sure it was good.
The colors.
Yeah, this is pretty accurate, although the sky wasn't that blue. It was a little less blue than that.
Phones would do that.
But I mean, as far as just walking outside, not framing the shot, as you know, you can clearly tell I probably would have maybe moved over to the left and not got the building. I just walked outside like, I'm going to take a picture just from one of our hotel rooms. Like, and that was great. And this is just, I mean, it was really, really cool. So, I just noticed that in the regular commentary of phones, I really don't hear about Xiaomi as much as maybe I used to, maybe 2 or 3
because you're in the US.
Even also people aren't really talking.
I really think it's just because Vivo kind of reestablished their dominance, and then Oppo was really good the last 2 years as well. So So
I'm wondering, do you think that maybe Xiaomi is kind of hearing that, or kind of sensing that feedback, and they're trying to maybe up game, or they're just going to go, we're going with what we want, and now just we have to do with Vivo? I wonder if they're wondering. Yeah,
it's
because they've been budget,
it's a tough one, man. Because it's tough. I know there's probably someone on staff that really wants to be considered the number one camera type phone, but man, their output is so good. Like I wouldn't touch it.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say if you're gonna really
absolutely
mirrorless DSLR, you're gonna get a standalone camera like anybody else, right? And so people like me who aren't, I'd be okay with them. I'm trying to talk Becky into getting a camera just for like photos, so we don't use our phones. But for people like for Barry and for Joe and for Manos and Mac and Scoop and Jermaine, they clearly, if they're going to be out taking real serious photography, real serious images, they're not going to be using a phone unless they're testing it to talk about that in a channel.
Talk about it.
If they're out to do the thing and just experience the thing,
it's going to be Floyd. It's definitely going to be. Yeah, I'll take my Lumix. So I've got a Lumix as well. So
Yeah. So
Honey Boys. Yes.
Yes, right. Panty Boys. And Jermaine left us, man.
I know. God, well, you know.
Oh, yeah, he's canon now, isn't he?
So I want to kind of swing back to the phone. So I know you're not.
Oh, yeah,
really
go ahead.
In
No. I want to talk phones. Yeah. So don't. So, hey, man.
What do you? So
Scoop is a pure camera guy, right? Like he's a camera. I'm phone. Yeah, I'm phone right. first. It's just I do cameras on YouTube now.
Right. I really wish we had another hour or so with Scoop, because I'm more fascinated about, he is so technically competent.
Oh man, he's unbelievable.
It's really kind of over. To be honest with you, I would act like I was trying to hang on with what he was talking about, but some of the stuff I'm like, dude,
he knows it, man. He's been doing it for a while.
And again, not overwhelming in a bad way, but just like, you just kind of realize that, man, I really don't know fuck all about any of this stuff, and he is just so well versed and experienced. So
he is.
It was pretty good. So obviously we have Unpacked coming up, and clearly we're going to have all these deals. 25, which again, in typical, I don't think anybody's going to be surprised with Samsung. It's kind of iterative, right, and that kind of thing. So how do you see 2025? Obviously the 13 Pro or the 13, right, is an extension and an improvement on the 12. Like, do you think any phones in 2025 of any manufacturer, any OEM, I don't care who it is, maybe other than nothing, well, we can talk about that, is really going to do anything other than just maybe an incremental, iterative? Like,
I really think they're all going to be. I think they're all going to be incremental. I think they're all living off of. Samsung will do it next year, but the battery technology switch, right, and the efficiency of the Elite processor. So you'll see better battery life. The OnePlus 13 kind of surprised me though. The performance is really high. Some people have really kind of tested it against the Oppo, the iQOO, and someone else, Samsung, like last year's Samsung, and Red Magic, and it was literally neck and neck. And luckily the guy, because the Red Magic should have really smoked everything there. He had blocked the fan on the Red Magic, so that was the reason why it still won the contest. But so I really think, outside of that outlier, that the OnePlus 13 is a really good performing phone that doesn't have a fan in it. It's all going to be incremental. Right. So it's kind of pushing the manufacturers back to, they're going to have to be careful, right? Because they went from a few years before the Fuji X100 5 and 6 really started getting popular. They kind of pushed the pendulum to, hey, we can use our phones, and then they let Fuji kind of swing open the doors, like, to convince people they get your iPhone and this camera, right? So looking at correct. So so I really think it's going to be just iterative, and we'll see how people respond to that.
And what do you think about B's comment about batteries? And so this is what I've been saying for years. The next frontier for phones is battery technology.
It's got to be battery life.
Remember, we're now into silicon ion. Which basically essentially performs like lithium ion, but like graphene. I noticed that kind of went.
Yes.
We stopped talking about graphene. I guess it's impractical or whatever. I don't know the technology, but I think we're pushing the cameras to the point where unless you're crushing a 1-inch sensor, you're really just, at this point, you're just
correct. And I would change so much on the camera, that's a whole nother conversation. There's a lot of stuff I would change on the camera. I'm sure Jermaine and Joe and Grounded Tech and also Scoop. But yeah, you're right. Like I remember I had the Moto E4 Plus slow. It had the best, it was able to hold on to a signal better than any phone I've ever had. This was years ago. And it had a huge battery in it. So I didn't have to charge it very often. I don't know how this has not been a no-brainer to companies until now that, hey, give them a bigger battery and they're going to have a much better phone experience. They're going to like our phones better if they don't have to charge it as more, right?
Well, it's also
they'll be able to do more things with their phone.
You don't need an X Elite unless you really want to save the money.
Correct.
Push them into a MediaTek, and you can get a 5,500 milliamp, and you might actually get a 2-day battery, right? Maybe possibly.
Correct.
And some people, like I said, not everybody is really looking for bleeding edge performance or bleeding edge camera.
No. I think our performance is our performance have gotten pretty good now. It just give people more battery life so they can look for new opportunities of where to use their phone. Like, I don't have to nurse the battery life or what have you. I can actually use it more. Like right now, I'm not plugged in and I'm live streaming off of this thing. Right. So
yeah,
just imagine having 2-day battery life. I could do multiple streams and all that stuff. That it's definitely would change the way I use my phone.
Just talking of battery quickly, now Barry's going the camera route. That's one thing that's been the biggest con for me moving from a DSLR to the mirrorless battery life.
Yes, yes,
that's killer.
Yes. Oh yeah, DSLR, yeah, definitely, absolutely.
Getting 1,000 shots to a 300 odd shots, it's like, oh man.
That's funny.
Yeah. So I saw Moto is actually coming out with their, the 2025. So that they're in that conversation too. And I think everybody in America just sleeps on Moto, which is crazy.
They do, but can we talk a little bit about Samsung?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
If we look at the leaks, right? And I'm, not to be like, oh yeah, this is definitely coming to pass, but we just look at the design. Do either you like what you're seeing as far as the the rounded corners, flat display?
Well, I guess we're getting into that. Okay, now are we all kind of eschewing to what an iPhone looks like, right? Because
I think we are. I think we are. I think what's happening, and I think there's going to be some type of place where they end, right? Mm-hmm. So I think the 13 looks better than the 12. Not everybody, OnePlus, not everybody shares that belief. I also think in person, the 13 looks really good, but like if I saw it on video, the 13R looks better, which is more flat.
Like the R.
But but I think people are going to go with I think brands are going to go with the 13 look, where you kind of have that like kind of Apple-ish look, right? But you have enough of the round to make it feel comfortable in the hand, more than what you get with the Apple.
Yeah. It drives me crazy on this where I have the totally flat. It's like I guess I want a little bit. I like flat screen. Totally,
you want a little.
I'm with Juan. All right, flat screen. Yeah, we're done with the curve shit. Let's get done with that. But on the edges, I'm okay with having a little bit of a little
slope. And I think that's where I think the Samsung, like the 13, I think people are going to like it better.
Yeah.
So it looks like they're changing the digitizer, right? So there's speculation that it's going to be ultra wideband instead. Yeah. So let's see. Let's fingers crossed. Yeah, because like to give you an example, like I would never use that functionality. To me, that's more of a gimmick. But I know people that's how they use their phone. They would sit it over there and they would change as they're working. They would change the music like that.
Flossie Carter loves it, didn't he? He's always
video. Where you can kind of swipe it. Now again, do I think it's gimmicky? Yeah, but if you're sitting there
Trenton said that was part of his day to life video. Like he's got an office to himself where he's working on computers, right? And he's just moving his pen. Yeah, it's definitely more battery efficient.
And I said like remote, like I did like, and that's
like remote camera shutter. Yeah,
that's what I like. When my daughter actually was using it for a little while, having it like she could prop the phone up and like use the S Pen to actually like take a picture. She really thought that was cool shit. Like she thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
I do too. I mean, it's not something I would use.
I'm hoping UWB. I hope that functionality is not lost. I'm really hoping. I know they had to switch to digitizer, and that's the reason why they dropped Bluetooth. But I'm hoping we still have we'll see.
I just don't. I guess I just don't want every phone.
I know where you're coming from. I know where you're coming from. Everything is coming to an iPhone, and everything's iterative, right? I get where you're going. So
yeah, I just don't. For me, I would just like. I still do. I mean, although I do like the camera island, I still miss the visor. Maybe I'm just that way. I like the visor because it made it. It clearly identifies as a pixel. So does this.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I like the 7 visor. I like it just where it kind of melted into the frame. I kind of like that a little bit of a look back.
No, I agree. But I mean, at least, I mean, when you look at the Ultra from the Samsung, it's pretty distinct as well. Not probably as much as the Pixel, but but it's pretty distinct.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I think what they're going to do with the Ultra, like I said, I'm curious to see, like with the change in the S Pen. I know that's kind of something that's really. I think it's one of the, until you actually get the phone in hand and actually take it for a run and use it and see how it works. I really don't know. Yeah, on paper, losing the Bluetooth really kind of like freaks people out. But if they can use the UWB and they can get that to work and you still have some functionality, I think it's going to be one of those where do you actually, when you're using it, how does it look? I don't know. It's like if you have an S24, I don't know from what I've seen of the S25.
Yeah, so like I said it to, if you have a OnePlus 12, you don't need to upgrade to the 13, right?
No, God.
And you can make a case where the 12 is better, right? Like you could make, even though like overall performance wise, the 13 is better, but you can make a case if you add camera, right?
I love the camera on the 12.
Yeah, I'm with you on the S24 Ultra. Like, do you really need to upgrade to the S20? Yeah, it's like,
I mean, unless you're in a situation where you can trade in your 24 and you get like $1,200, and then you're getting your credit, and you're letting an S25 Ultra for like $350, $400.
Yeah, then it's worth it.
Right, but if you're having to come up more than 600 bills, $6 I'm like, I don't know if you really want to spend that money. If you have money to burn, go for it, I would say. But and that's the problem with iterative. And I was going to ask you, what the Duo 2, right? It wasn't the next year that Duo 2 came out, probably because they were re-engineering the phone. Do you think companies should really entertain a possibly an 18 to 24 month cycle?
I definitely do. I definitely do. Yeah, I think YouTubers would hate it, right? Because they would have to change some of the direction, right?
We'll do fishing channels or cars or some shit.
They might have to do like, Jermaine is doing cameras, right? So it's easy for him. He just keep doing, cameras as they come
doing his thing, yeah.
But the ones that are just doing like performance and all that stuff, they would have to change kind of how they do their channels. But I agree. I really think they should go to a 2 year cycle, because it's
really should.
It's
they won't,
God, phones are really good right now. Like you really have to work hard to get a bad phone. Like even when we look at budget phones,
I don't even think
I'm like, do we really need more than a 13R?
No.
Yeah, like a 13R, like Edge. Do we really need any more than that? Like it's like,
get yourself a 9, get yourself an 8A. Dude, you're golden, man. If
you're good.
It's just like, I think it's one of those things where I think we're so programmed to do the every year upgrade to the next hot. And again, I think that's an Apple thing, right? Because really they don't, they have offerings that are more budget aligned, right? You have the, like the 13 or the 14 or 15, right? Or you had the SE, right? When they actually cared about, or the 5C, right? Remember they had the more budget focused. But I think that's an Apple thing. I think it's like you got the 16, the 17's coming out, and they're going to change it. Well, you have to keep up with the Joneses, right? You can't be that guy showing up with the 14, because why would you show up with the 14? Clearly basic, right?
Exactly.
I think that has kind of spilled into the Android space, because they figure, well, but most Android users, and it's funny is most Apple users, how many people you see when an Apple user using a 10R?
They have. Oh yeah, they keep their phones, man.
Right. It's like I don't understand. Most of their users are keeping their phones for 4 or 5 years, which is funny why they're driving that yearly upgrade cycle. Although the only thing I think of is carriers are really pushing.
You say that, Sam. What
I think carriers.
What some people do is like there'll be that one person in the family that gets the new one every year, and then they hand me down.
Right.
To the family.
That's why a lot of teenagers used iPhones, because parents would finally switch to a 13 or a 14, and they would upgrade to a 16, and they would keep their phone, right? And they would give it to their sons and daughters or their parents. That's the trick, right? Giving it to mom and dad who've now used it, because my wife's parents, they use iPhones. They would never consider switching.
No.
Right? And that's fine. I get it. But the problem is their granddaughter switched, and it wasn't my fault. That's not my fault. kind of my fault. But anyway, but it's just that's what it comes down to, is if you've been handed down devices and you're used to the hardware and the software and the, and everybody's got this thing. Well, iOS is just easier. Not necessarily. It's just what you're exposed to, and so I just think, and I think what's driving that yearly cycle is AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile need customers, right? They need to find a way to get that 15.
Oh yeah, you hit it on when you say 16, carrier. And what does that do? What does that do? They're not looking for, AT&T is not. Oh, we just want you to buy our service. Bring your own. No. Go buy from the Apple Store. They want you to buy it for them. So it's, even though it's technically not a contract, you're paying them for 2 years or 3 years in some cases, right?
Yeah, they want to.
They've got you locked in. They want you to be sticky. They want you to be sticky enough to where, correct, that you're not calling them up. Hey, I want to pour it out. They don't want you to. They want you to feel discomfort if you're doing that.
Oh yeah. When I tried to actually move my number to T-Mobile, when I did, getting it back, I had to wait 30 days to port the number back to AT&T. It made me wait 30 days. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Because I was it's Gigi's fault, not necessarily, but it's kind of, so I was trying to do she had to give me the find, right? I was trying to use that.
Yeah. That's right. And you're trying to.
Right. And for some reason, like, why I could not get cell service to work on my find. And it's like, well, I'm on T-Mobile. I didn't have a temporary I had actually like a SIM. I ported my
airplane mode.
T-Mobile. Right, yeah, probably. I ported it over to T-Mobile. Like, I didn't even like just get a T-Mobile SIM and throw it in. I like literally moved my number completely over to T-Mobile for 30 days, and it was just like, I cannot get this goddamn phone to work. And it's like, why is it that I can't get this to work? And it's like, it's the same phone. She's like, oh, T-Mobile works perfectly. I'm like, I can get SMS to work. I just could not get phone calls to work.
Wow, that's crazy.
Constantly. And it had nothing to do with the phone. I have no idea. So I think and I don't know how it is in the UK, because I know he works for O2, right? So I don't think the same drive is the same in US carriers versus UK carriers. I know they want you to.
I think it is, Sam. Like, so.
Oh, okay.
So O2 launched a little while back now. Launched Switch Up. Now, what that is, after 90 days has passed, as long as you look after your device, you can hand it back. And we'll clear your contract, your 36-month credit agreement. We'll clear that for you. And you can start a new contract for a new phone. So
we don't have that here.
So Barry, that's what I do. That's how I try different phones.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
by doing Switch Up.
So you only have to keep it for essentially 3 months, and then you can change up.
Essentially 3 months, yeah. So, but with that, obviously, your iPhone users, they're doing it every year.
Okay.
Obviously, they're getting a new iPhone every year. What is that? What's that doing? Keeping that customer every year.
Every year, yeah.
Well, and I guess so. What is their business model for letting people like wipe a contract after 30 days, like after 90 days? I'm like that.
So if you think about it, Sam, right? So they're going to pay for a device for a whole year, and then hand it back to us
after 3 months.
No, iPhone users aren't.
Well, for iPhones, they do it for a year.
Think about it, right? I'm a tech fan, a mobile device fan, so I'm going to be doing it every 3 months. But do you think the majority of customers are doing it every 3 months?
No,
they get a phone they like,
right? And
they hold on to it, for a year, maybe 8 months, whatever. It depends when they got it, in the cycle. But they'll, especially like if they're a Samsung or Apple fan, they'll just get the Ultra or the Pro Max every year.
Correct. Every year.
And that's the majority of people.
Yeah.
So you think about that business model, Sam.
Okay.
So they pay on it for a year, and then they're back with another one for another year.
But
so they're basically essentially locking themselves in.
Yeah.
They sell that phone like new.
Yep.
So it goes on the website like new, refurbished. It looks good on the numbers as well, because we're doing good for e-waste, and do you know what I mean? Because we're recycling that device and selling it again. So as a business model, it's very, very good.
It's win-win for the business.
Yeah, but the customers love it as well, because they're getting a new device every year.
They get a new device every year. Yeah.
Or if they get a phone and they're using for 6 months, and they're like, you know what, I really this phone's okay, but I see the new Honor or the new Vivo. I can move to that.
They can go get it.
Right. So it works for both the customer and the company, right? The company retains customers, they keep them locked in, but it actually makes the customer go, hey, look, I don't have to stick with this phone a year. If I had it like 6 months, I go, like I would have moved on to an S25 or maybe switch all the way to iOS. I can do that, and then I can kind of American carriers don't do that. I think if they did that,
we have one. It's an MVNO, right? It's called Spectrum Mobile. They did that, Joe,
but
they don't have correct. They're a cable company, so they do cable television. So they don't really have the phone infrastructure to really stay on top of it. So Michael Pepper was doing it quite a bit, and I reached out to Mike. We were going back and forth in the DM. I was like, hey man, you still doing that with Spectrum Mobile? He goes, no. I go, what are you talking about? I'm like, why? That was such a great deal.
Yeah.
And because they're not like your company, Joe, he had went to do one and they screwed everything up and ended up charging him. Like the way this system was just not, even though they have that opportunity, they didn't have this, what if this goes wrong, blueprint, and they just kind of screwed him over.
So he ended up being charged for 2 devices.
He basically ended up being charged for 2 devices. Yeah. So he had to go back and forth. It was ugly, right? So
see that's part of switch up with O2 though. So if it doesn't fit criteria, right, you will end up paying for 2 devices because if you do it in stores, they grade it there and then, and they'll say yes or no. Whereas if you're doing it online, you're sending your device back. And if it doesn't fit criteria,
when I upgraded, I turned my Fold 5 in to them. I did it in store. I did not try to send it to them.
Always better too, because they've signed it off, right? They've said, "Yep, that's good."
And there was the funny thing was the guy I actually signed up, and this is not on this one. I did it on a prior. It was Becky's phone. She traded her 12 for the 16 Pro. I told her to get the Pro because I was tired of hearing her like, I didn't need a Pro. And then now she's got the camera. And now she's like, I'm glad I got the Pro. Like, you didn't get the Pro. I told you to get the fucking Pro. And so now you got the Pro. Right. So I had to fill out a form. And the guy goes, I said, can I have a copy of that, transaction? He's like, no. I said, that's cool. I took a picture of the piece of paper. I said, okay, cool. Because once they sign off and onboard it, if that thing went on a truck and cracked tomorrow, not my problem.
Damage in transit's not your problem.
Yeah, right. And the problem is, no offense, but I know AT&T has damaged in transit phones, and they try to tell the customer, "Oh, guess what? We're not going to let you trade that phone in because now it's damaged. It's damaged." Like, no, it wasn't damaged on packaging; it was damaged in transit.
Exactly.
So what happens is, if when you do it through the store, when you hand it to a customer rep, and they sign off on it, they have a form, they won't give you a copy. But I said, can I take a picture of that? And he's like, oh, yeah, sure. So I took a picture of it. And so that way, if AT&T said, hey, this phone, we inbounded to our DC in Dallas or wherever they're at, it was cracked. I said, well, that's funny because your guy inbounded this good to go, and it got damaged in transit. If it gets damaged in
that's
transit,
bad business practice. They should be giving you a receipt with
the
grading on it.
Terrible.
That's
exactly. But you have to understand, that's the difference between American companies and probably companies in the UK who have
probably laws that we've got that we have to.
We got laws. Yeah, we got laws.
Well, I mean, look what happened with you honestly think that Apple would have went to USB-C on their iPhones if it wasn't for the EU? Not a fucking chance.
Oh, heck, it wouldn't happen.
Hell
it
no.
wouldn't happen.
Not in a million years.
It wouldn't
the EU
happen.
basically forced Apple to basically go to USB-C instead of having regional USB-C, Lightning. They just said, "Fuck it." We just went to USB. And it's funny because Becky didn't understand how important that is until now that she's had the 16 with USB-C. Now all her chargers, we only have I only have one USB-C or a Lightning because of my bank phone. This one.
Yeah.
Same game.
I'm actually.
Right?
Yeah. My son's 13 Pro Max is starting to develop an issue, and he is so happy that I'm going to replace it because he was sick and tired of the Lightning. He goes, I'm the only one that has Lightning in this whole house. Everything's
right on top of it. But also, how many people had a Lightning cable that didn't break after didn't break after 7 months?
Exactly.
And then Apple wants to act like that it's not engineering.
Oh yeah, no, sorry.
Just touching on cameras again, right? You now no longer get chargers in the box for cameras.
That's true.
Yeah.
So like what's happened with phones is affecting other tech.
With what you picked up, there's no, don't they have like
my new camera? I didn't get. I got a C.
Did you get a spare
C
battery
cable? No, I bought a small rig one recently though.
Yeah, and so dude,
got one battery.
I don't know anything about the cameras, but the one I used to have, it had like a little 3.5.
Yeah. So mine, I have the previous generation of his, and it comes with a little puck that you stand the battery in.
Okay, so,
and it comes with the USB-C cable.
I'll charge it in camera. So,
your camera is like has a solid locked-in battery inside the camera?
No, the battery comes out.
No, it comes out.
But I have to charge it in camera because I don't get a charger.
You didn't get a little charger bricky thing where you can.
It was my version.
These fucking companies suck, dude.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. I'm telling you, that's. God, and the thing about it, so Joe, it's different. You know, like Sam and I are like this, and I know you're like this because you're in the UK. But you'll get a lot of people over here. They shouldn't be able to force Apple to do anything. It's their company. like, dude, Apple is not your friend, sir. Like, they're not trying. Like, they're not trying to help. Like, they're doing. This is the same company that it was proven that once you got to a certain battery life percentage, they started slowing down they started throttling you to force you to upgrade. And you're defending them? Are you serious right now?
Well, no,
that wasn't just like some rogue staffer.
So you got to buy a new lightning cable every single.
Yeah, exactly.
And I told Becky, she makes fun of me because I like to throw this in her face. I know I'm an asshole. Petty Roosevelt, yeah, I know how I am. I have an old Nokia charger that came with my 1520. It's just a solid. It's the brick. It's a hard cable to a USB-C, right? Because I've had that for 10 years. It still works. Now it charges like 15 watts, right? It doesn't.
Yeah, but still,
it never fatigued. I said I went to them and I bought OEM, like actual Apple authorized charger cables, and then the on stuff. And every single one of those, after about 6 to 8 months, the cable at the bottom fatigues and breaks. I'm like, I've had a cable for 10 years on USB-C and even USB-A, right? Any of those other chargers. I mean, I've got I still have. This is my OnePlus cable.
Oh yeah.
Love
that red.
To my Super VOOC, right? I still got it. I kept it for my old, and I just basically, and it works perfectly fine. This is USB-A, right? Nothing crazy. This brick, fat ass brick, right? Works perfectly. Never had a problem and never will have a problem. And you mean to tell me that every iPhone cable, everybody I've known who has an iPhone, hit the little spring, the spring trick. They take a spring and they put it at the bottom and try to reinforce it, matchsticks, and they tape it to try to keep it. If that thing breaks and everybody kind of laughs about it, you tell me that's not engineered that way. And right. And so that's what it is.
This is my Super VOOC. So this is a OnePlus cable, and this is a brand new lightning cable. There's a lightning cable on the ground over here that my son just replaced with this one because it broke. And this is So this Super VOOC has been in the car for I think 2 years now.
Right.
And we've already been through several lightning cables.
Well, interesting. Just hold it up again. Look at the gauge on the wire.
Oh yeah. You can just see that. And this is on a pixel camera, on stream, right. So
look at the gauge.
You can see the gauge.
The OnePlus. Look at the gauge of the wire and the connection. And already what's going to happen. That Super VOOC can probably wrap somebody around the throat and fucking
exactly. Yeah.
With it. And that son of a bitch won't break. And
Super VOOC their ass.
Yeah, Super VOOC their ass. So it's interesting. So 2025 is going to be one of those years where, again, if you're a phone person, get ready for iterative updates. Get ready.
I think you're right. Unless nothing does something. Unless nothing does something, right?
Or maybe a CMF2. I don't know if the CMF2 is going to be a thing.
Yeah, the CMF was excellent. I really enjoy it. Well, I like all their phones. They do a great job. I'm kind of excited to see what Carl Pei does, especially with. I know he knows it's going to be iterative from his competitors as well.
Yeah. Right. And then, Joe, and then what's the reason why? Is it because of the camera, I guess, capability of the Nothing phones? Is that why you don't? Why? I guess my question is, and real quick, since we're on the Nothing, for both you and Barry, why would you not use a Nothing phone as a daily driver?
I would.
Oh yeah, I would. Yeah,
I had the first Nothing phone, didn't I? Do you remember?
Yeah, I that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I would use
you had the 2A and the 2A Plus or whatever, and you've had the Nothing Phone 2 and CMF. But I don't. You're using these Honor phones. I'm curious. Like, is it because are you concerned about the camera not being good enough and the computational photography not being good enough, or like would you consider
I'd rock it now?
Nothing? Okay.
I think now I've got my camera, I'm less bothered about the cameras on the phones.
Yeah.
Well, I know for Barry and I, it's like, obviously we don't have nothing available. You have to import it and that kind of thing. So, other than so do you think that if a Nothing Phone 3 or a 3A would come out this year, would you recommend that, or before you actually get a chance to test it out? Like, what would be maybe your concern about a Nothing Phone going forward as far as
my concerns? I don't think I'd have concerns. I'd be interested in trying it. I quite like the brand and their innovation. Yeah, I'd give it a go. Okay.
And Barry, would you?
Oh, I love Nothing. So Nothing is the only. So to give you an example, on every phone that I get, it used to be only the essential phone. So ignore every ringtone and sound. I replaced it with essential phone. Good. And when I got the Nothing, I forget which Nothing it was. I think it was a Nothing 2. But whichever Nothing I had, no, it was the original Nothing. I got it through the embedded program. So my Nothing didn't really work well in Orlando, and it was a known issue. But it was an awesome phone. We're talking about cellular. But I took those ringtones and sounds. So now I have a file that is essential phone and Nothing. And people were like, "Hey, you got a Nothing phone over here?" No, that's my Pixel. No, that's my Xiaomi or whatever, So I like what they're doing. I like the Nothing skin that they have on, and also the ability to
their UI is awesome. It looks really
good. And they give you a choice too. They give you a choice. They're like, "Hey, do you want it to look like stock Android?" So if you don't like it, you can. But I really like what he's doing over there with Nothing.
I'll tell you something about Nothing, right? I'll tell you something about Nothing. Their updates, the way they lay it out and tell you what the update is the best.
Oh, their release notes are awesome. Yeah, and that's a lot of these companies don't really kind of get into it, but they do. And I like Carl Pay's vision because he's really big on customer feedback and really listening to people saying, "Hey, this doesn't work," or "Hey, why do you do this?" And he'll explain, "Hey, this is the reason why I do this as a company, as a business practice. This is why we're laying out the UI in such a way." Right. And it may not land for you. It may not resonate to you. And that's okay too. But we're doing this because we think that the big issue with Nothing was the monochrome. Like, you know what I mean? And he was like, I realize that it doesn't work for everybody, but this is
it doesn't work for everybody. Yeah. Like I know Juan is on record
use
saying
your phone less. Like we're trying to find ways to basically make your phone almost off-putting to use because of that.
Correct.
And remember, it's still optional. You can still go to the chromatic version, and that's cool. But we have people who all the time complain about using their phone too much, and we're trying to find ways to kind of make sure that you engage your phone in more of a less engaging way, right? And so we're trying to find ways to do that through software. And we're okay with you giving us feedback and saying, "Hey, would you like to do this?" And like, I just like the fact that they're in to disrupt, but they're also in to try to find ways to make you use and enjoy and engage in your phone in a different, more organic way.
Yeah.
And not have to go crazy with it.
I agree.
Yeah. And give you and still go, "Hey, we're not gonna bottleneck you into this, right? We're gonna say, hey, if you want to go ahead and use the phone to its full capacity and doom scroll TikTok and live on your phone 15 hours a day. Okay, cool. But our vision of your device is less engagement and more being out in the real world and not so much. And we're going to give you both choices." I think that that's a real forward thinking approach to phones. And I really kind of like that business model as a general rule. I mean,
Nothing is solid. So yeah, I think I picked up a Nothing every year that they come out. I think I picked up one.
If I could find a Nothing Phone 2 because that's the only Nothing. Apparently, I checked the AT&T whitelist. Nothing Phone 2 is the only one that's officially on their whitelist. I would get a nothing phone too, just to try to check it out and use the glyphs and check out the interface, because I think I could use a nothing 2A, but I mean with a Pixel, I kind of feel like I'm kind of redundant a little bit, but I
know. I know. That's the feeling I got. I felt like it was kind of redundant, but then when I started playing with it, I'm like, oh man, I could see it coexisting, or give me a different experience. So yeah.
So I'm curious when the Nothing Phone 3 comes out. I hope it gets a lot of good coverage, and I'm really hoping to see what they really improve on. Are they really going to be truly flagship? Are they really going to do what they say they're going to do, is improve the camera algorithm and hardware? And I'm curious to really see where Nothing goes in their third iteration, because I don't know, man. It might be a phone I'll try out. I might get off the Pixel for a while and try a Nothing Phone, because it really
try it out. That'd be cool.
It really speaks to me.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Joe, we're at 1 hour 10 minutes, and Barry's been in his car, and I think everybody
I want to talk about camera stuff, but I didn't want Sam to fall asleep.
No, I love the camera stuff. I just may not know what's happening as far as that goes. But yeah, go for it. If you want to dive in for a couple minutes about the cameras, go for it.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see the direction of your new channel, like where you're going.
I'm excited as well. So I'm actually in the process of I've got pretty much all the shots done, but reviewing a lens. It's just a manual focus lens, and I'm using with my S5. Okay. And then I'm debating. So I'm a Lumix user. I love Lumix. But I'm debating picking up another inexpensive, like it could be an old Fuji or something like that, just to be like, hey, I got this, and let's compare, do a comparison, something like that. But it's going to be heavy on some photography, but it's going to be a lot of videography.
That's what I wanted to ask. Will it be stills as well? But majority.
Yeah, I'll definitely do stills, because I have to do it as far as the testing. But it's going to be enough cinematography to kind of draw people into, hopefully, the story that I'm trying to tell.
Oh, nice.
So well,
I'm excited. Lumix as well, because oh
my god, like you don't know how many times where like I was putting together a video and then I would stop, I could have released a video, but I'm just like, God, man, look at this, man. Oh man, and I'd start playing with the Lumix, and I'm like doing these other shots. I'm like, dude, I don't need all this into a regular phone video, So yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing it, because do you know, I wasn't that into videography, but I'm kind of getting interested now as well.
Yeah.
I was all about just stills, but now I'm actually thinking I've got open gate on this thing as well.
Oh yeah. Dude, you don't know how many times where like I would it's like a couple of years ago, but I would DM Jermaine. He's like, oh, I'm about to drop this video, and I'm looking. I was like, oh man, those shots are looking good. And there's so many times where like he was scrolling this B-roll from his S5. And I'm just sitting there going, man. Like it's like, what is it? Hold on, I'm supposed to be looking at the phone. It's like, but I'm looking more at the
you get some real nice shots, definitely.
Yes. Yeah. So
yeah,
I'm excited. I'm excited.
So what sort of things are you going to be covering, like different lenses?
I'll cover different lenses. Obviously camera bodies. I'll also do like tutorial based stuff where
nice.
Hey, how do you do this type of shot? Like how do you if it's sunny, what do you need to take shots appropriately? Like, do you need an ND filter? What is it?
Okay, cool.
How to set that up. Yeah, because there's a lot of times like people would ask me too, like just because I use Pro Mode a lot in my he said, Lumix was really nice B-roll, A-rolls. He didn't have he had the manual focus. I mean, well, he had autofocus, but it's not like your autofocus, right? So yeah, that's why he left. But yeah, so there's a lot of times when people were like, man, you use Pro Mode? I don't know how to use Pro Mode. And like I would do like a quick tutorial of like, well, this is the easiest way of doing a shot with a camera. Like look at the sky and look for like some clouds, and your viewfinder, like when you set up like the shutter speed and all that, you should be able to see the clouds like you're seeing in the sky. And I'm like, as you adjust your shutter up and down, you'll actually see, wait a second, that cloud is not there because of the shutter speed, right? So the stuff that your eyes, so the stuff that your eyes are seeing is not what your camera is able to see because of the shutter speed difference. And then it's like, okay, now take the shot once you see it line up. So I'll do little things like that. So there's going to be a lot of different possibilities. And I might even do some videos where I'm reviewing reviewing a camera and you think it's just a movie. That's the eventual goal. And then it's like, wait a second, this was all shot with this, you know? So yeah, I'm going to do a lot of different experiments.
Well, it sounds like for a person like me, this might be a channel that I would start getting into because it gives me an idea of like, I don't want to say the basics, but kind of like the little golden books of like, why do we use ND filter or a diffuser or
correct. Yeah, when to use a polarizer, when to use an ND. Yeah, correct.
So for people like me, it actually resonates because I can get in on it and kind of get some idea. But for people like Joe, you can actually start to learn different aspects of how to use a camera. So it kind of works for novice users and maybe intermediate people like, and obviously the people like the Jermaines, and then for other people,
Scoop and all that. They're like,
they may listen and go, hey, there's a little aspect, but they're not looking at it from a more of a capability standpoint, more of a refinement standpoint.
Correct. Yeah.
So I feel like Lumix need to send you the S5 too.
You know, it's funny. What's so funny that you said that. So there's a couple of guys that are camera channels, and they're like, when I dropped the first video, they're like, Lumix needs to send you a camera. I'm like, dude, I'm not looking for Lumix to send me a camera.
No, they should be.
But yeah, it was funny. But yeah, I really. Go ahead.
Yeah, go on. Oh, sorry.
No, I just have really liked. I don't want to take up the stream going about this, but there's some stuff that I really like with Lumix, and that's the reason why I stick with them, even though they have weaknesses in other areas.
It's pros and cons for
videography.
Every brand.
There's pros or cons for every brand. So I really see myself sticking with them long term, and they've got a couple of drops this year, so I'm hoping that they're good.
I like the fact that their lenses are the same weight.
Size,
weight. So if you're using a gimbal, you don't have to adjust.
You don't have to yeah, gimbals are pain to, at least for me. Like I remember Scoop and I got in the same gimbal. This is a couple of years back, and we got it for B-roll and like doing it for like maybe doing vlogging and stuff like that. And I remember we were backstage after we'd done a stream, and all of a sudden Scoop's like, all right, got it all. Yep, I'm good. And he's like showing it off, and I was like, oh man, this is gonna be easy. Dude, it took me like 3 hours to get the thing balanced, man. I'm like, am I gonna be going through this every single time? But then the next time I was like, okay, this isn't that bad. It's just I'd never done it before, but yeah, to switch, like it's much easier just to take off one lens, put the next one, and not have to rebalance anything.
Yeah. So that's a long way. That's long in the distance for me. I'm just a kit lens guy at the moment.
Oh yeah. So I have all primes right now. I don't have the kit lens, but I have all primes. But I need to start picking up a few more. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, Lumix needs to send you some more lenses and stuff. Yeah.
Do
you know what? They're quite receptive on socials. Like when I posted like I got this camera, and they put it on their Instagram story.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And I'm a nobody, like especially in the camera world. But I was like, oh wow.
I'll have to start doing that. And start tagging them.
Yeah, definitely, man. Do it.
Ooh, yeah. So remember, Jermaine, the Leica cameras, unless you're getting the old ones, and just so you know, Joe, go look at a Lumix and go look at the Leica, and they look very similar. It's because Panasonic makes them. So right now they just introduced a new Leica camera, and it looks like one of the ones that Lumix is dropping because they had a special agreement with Leica that they couldn't release it for a couple of years, like the same body. So I think the one that's like $6,000 will be like 3,000 as a Lumix coming out this year. That's the rumor, right? So yeah.
Interesting.
So,
have you got do you like the look of the S9?
I do like the look of the S9. For me, it's a little, because I've got big hands. It's a little small just for my hand size. I think it's probably perfect for everything. Yeah, so I would get like a little extra grip to it. I would get the small rig and I'd be good.
Yeah, the small
I like the
rigs.
S9. I like the S9 camera.
The only thing that puts me off it is the fact that it's only electronic shutter.
Yes.
But from
Yeah.
all
So
accounts, it does well.
yeah. So I think a lot of people that I know some people that have it besides Dan, and they said one of the things that, you know, a lot of the YouTubers were saying that, you know, he said it's true. It should have like should have electronic shutter. But even like with a viewfinder, like an EVF or whatever, they're like they didn't know how much they could boost the display. And some of them at first were like, oh, this is tough to see. But then when they boosted the display, they're like, oh, I don't really need an EVF, you know. So
it's made for a certain things, isn't it?
it's really for a certain, yeah. I think people really wanted to see a full frame Fuji X100V. You know, I think that's what they wanted. Yeah.
So because my future plan is obviously build up my lenses, and I'm thinking of getting an S9 as my travel cam.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Let's see how it goes.
I'm right now. I'm gonna use. I may hold off until the S9 II, even though it's going to be ways.
By the time I get there, it probably will be.
I know. So what I'm gonna do right now is, and this might change. I'm using one of my S5s as my travel cam with more manual lenses because I don't.
Okay.
I don't really need to have an autofocus lens that takes up more. Like the lens I'm gonna review is like that size compared to like an autofocus lens, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
So
and you said you were using a manual focus, so I assume is that the one where you can move it out and
you just kind of move like that, and
focus ring, yeah,
okay. Have a little focus ring, yeah.
I would think if you're using that kind of camera, I would think that you would want to have more kind of physical, actual control instead of
correct. I mean, you can do it. Like you can do it. I'm just looking at it from the standpoint of I'm probably the shots that I'm going to be taking are not where it's like I'm chasing a kid around, like, oh, let me try to manual focus this, right?
Right. You
I'm
have
probably gonna look. Oh, I see this
approach, and
correct.
I know where I need to have like this focal point.
Correct.
This like you know where to go, and I think that's where having a manual really kind of works.
Next time I'm on,
knows what's going on, you would know what to do.
Correct.
Okay. Right.
And by the next time I'm on, I might be like, dude, I gotta have an autofocus. You know, I might be like, I tried that. That was crazy.
But that's part of the journey, right? So that's what
exactly. It's right. Yeah.
Well, it kind of reminds me of somebody I follow on Instagram and YouTube. He's a shooter, and he talked about how he used to shit on red dot sights on pistols or anything. He's like, I don't do red dot. I'm like, and that was funny. I've been using red dots for a couple months. Yeah, I'm kind of a bitch. I'm actually going to go back on the red dot. I think I should use a red dot. And I'm like, no, iron sight's the way, right? And it's like funny because it's one of those things where you would think you'd want to use more of the manual approach, but he's been using red dot sights on his pistols. And stuff. He's like, I can kind of see why this actually has merit. And actually, I'm kind of a red dot guy now. And he's like, I know. I realize for people who've been listening to me for years and who are all about iron sights and stuff, I understand, but hey man, when you start using some of the technology, some of it actually works. I mean, not in all scenarios, but it's something where you would use that as another tool in your toolkit. That's where you would use it.
Correct.
So cool. Well, Joe,
that was another transition for me actually, going from an optical viewfinder to EVF, which is part of my decision with the S5 too, because the EVF is very nice.
So EVF is very nice, but Joe, enjoy it while you can, because when you start to I'm assuming, Sam, that you don't have the best close-up viewing anymore.
Oh yeah, these are progressive lenses. Yeah, it's getting a little wonky. So, I'm getting old. Yeah, it's
funny because like EVFs, like a few years ago, were awesome. But hold on for just 1 second. Yeah. So EVFs were awesome, but now that I can't see as well,
oh no,
it's tough. Like it's like I have to kind of look at the EVF and then also look at the
actual scene through the lens. Okay, yeah,
correct.
It's funny you say that because I'm naughty 40 this year, and that's when they say you should get your eyes tested again.
Yeah, you should have them checked. Because I've been wearing glasses for my whole life, but then I was using single use, and then like last time around, he's like, "Hey, look at this." I go, "Yeah, I can see it." He's like, "Well, can you read it?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, can you see the letters? I went, not really. And he goes, okay, well, he handed me just essentially like cheaters, right? These like little lenses. I go, oh shit, like I can read that totally. He's like, yeah, it's time for progressive lenses. You need to have some, distance.
Yeah, it was funny. My optometrist, so Joe, don't do what I did. This was a couple of years ago. I kind of bragged to her, like she just finished the exam. Me and my son got our exam done at the same time. And I was like, yeah, it's pretty funny. I still haven't had the issue with my eyes. And she's like, what issue? I go, I still can see up close and all that stuff. So it looks like I kind of beat that. And she's like, what are you talking about? I was like, it hasn't happened yet. And she's like, you got like literally two more months. I'm like, what are you talking about? So she goes, get back in the chair. And she actually showed me, she goes, oh yeah, what's happening is your eyes are going like this. They're like, both of them are going in that direction and they're about to go to where they can't respond anymore. He goes, so they're doing a self-correction. And she showed me via test and like, is that hard to see? Like, is this hard to see? And she goes, just give it a couple more months and you'll need them.
Right.
I was like, cheers, thanks for that.
Yeah. I was like, you can.
It sucks getting old. Oh man,
it does. Me. Yeah.
So like you get out of bed, you're like, why does my back hurt? I literally did.
Heck yeah.
I'm like, I have like this kink in my back. Like, what the hell is going on? Anyway, it's okay. It's
actually while we're on that note, right? There's a lot of great stuff Honor do with eye care. Mm-hmm. That's really good stuff. I'll go. That's just go through that another time, but. Yeah, okay. I think that's something that they should be looking at. Phones more, eye care.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
let me say one more thing because we talked about age. Tell you one thing about age, right? So like people break their toes throughout their life. Some people do. Like it's pretty common. I never had that issue. If I did, I didn't know I did it. Right. So my son and I had worked out, and I've got a new puppy that's super high energy. So we had just gotten him back from, he'd been boarded, and he was with the trainer. Like he was getting training. So he was really hyper, and normally he likes to go to bed at 9, all that. So we stayed up. We were like making sure like he would be able to sleep through the night and all that. So I fell asleep on the couch, and we have this huge couch in the family room. My son fell asleep on the other side, right? Didn't know that he was there. Dog's in the crate in front of me. So in the middle of the night, I wake up, I startle my son, and he kind of barely kicks his foot, hits my foot. Okay. Week or so goes by. I'm like, this dude broke my toe and nothing, and he has no ill effects on it. I'm like, what the hell? Like, I've never broken my toe, man.
My wife
touch wood.
Accidentally kicked, and she was walking to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Or with her left foot, she hit the door jamb, like the left side of the door jamb. She hit the foot, and not her main toe, but her secondary toe, I guess, took the brunt of it, and it was like purple, and not totally purple, but you can tell. I said, well, the problem is there's nothing you can do. You just have to kind of just let it heal itself. It's basically just jam your toe. A lot of people think it's jammed, and sometimes it is jammed, just like a finger. If you play basketball, you've had basketball.
Correct.
Your finger, you're like, right, and you put a little brace on it, you're fine.
Yep.
But usually, if it's your foot and you're older, in your 40s or 50s, it will hairline fracture a little bit. You just have to basically kind of deal with it.
Kind of live with it, yeah.
No, it just sucks.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I know. Wait, get ready, Joe. Yeah,
enjoy it.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, like I said, we're at the 1 hour and 28-minute mark, and we've
appreciate you guys having me.
And so, absolutely, man, you are one of our favorite people to come on. We love having you on, and we're glad to see your channel's pivoting, and we're looking to support that. So, folks, if you're not supporting Barry, go to his channel, wait for some content, follow him, and tell folks about it, and really support him on his journey. Because I'm going to watch this because it sounds like for a person like me who's trying to learn and get some basics into the camera realm, this might be a channel for me, and we should support and we should celebrate those things. So we appreciate
100%.
that.
I can't wait. to see what you drop.
All right, so we will make sure we put those links in the chat and like that, and then and again, Barry, we please don't be a stranger. We know you're busy, but if you can always kind of spend an hour or so with us every once in a while, we really appreciate
anytime.
it. We love having you on, and we're one of our favorite creators, one of our favorite friends. So, all right, for myself and Joe, we will be back next Sunday on the Nomad Tech Project. We don't have a guest lined up, but hey, that might change. If not, we'll just be me and Joe just riffing and talking.
It might be Jimmy because it's Jimmy Joshua because it's his birthday on Tuesday.
Okay,
so he might join us.
Sounds good. Nice. We'll have Jimmy on, and then I'll be Joshua, and it'll be a really good time. And so he's one of our best guys. He actually donated a couple of quid to us, so appreciate you, sir. And then, like I said, I will just go ahead for folks who are watching the show. There is the link at Mary Johnson at YouTube.
Cheers, Jermaine.
And go get him. Go give a like and a follow and subscribe, and then ding the bell icon and give him some so that way you know when he drops a video. And any help we can give, any support we can give, Barry, we would be more than happy to do so.
Appreciate it, sir.
All right, so Joe, anything else before we kick off for the rest of the day?
No, I think we're good. I think we're good. Really enjoyed Barry as a guest.
Absolutely. I've been looking forward to this for like a week and a half. All right, for myself, for Barry Johnson, for Joe Hickey, thank you so much for tuning into the Nomad Tech Project. We'll be back next Sunday with another awesome show. And we'll maybe have Josh on. If not, we'll just be us. And thank you so much for being a part of our community and part of our stream and downloading and sharing. And we will see you next Sunday. Take care, everybody. Stay warm. Stay out of trouble. Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
Yes. Don't be a dick.
And we love you guys. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.